Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Another game, another preview, another opposition preview with my good friend Jack and Kev from Anfield Road TV. Go over there and subscribe to their channel. Jack, how are you doing?
How are we, son? Not too bad, mate. It would help if I move me mic a bit closer. But massive thank you for having me on the channel once again, mate. And hopefully we do get an absolute Christmas cracker tomorrow.
Yeah. Kev, how about yourself, mate?
I'm doing well, man. Looking forward to the game. Flying out in the morning for it, so it should be good to get back to the nice coldness but warmth of Liverpool to embrace the Reds playing on a cold Wednesday night.
I must admit, after watching it on Sunday, I bet you lads are thinking, please give us some goals and glory. But
I'm bringing the coal with me, man. I'm bringing the coal over there. Some coal and going to stoke it on the fire just to wake them up.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, I always look forward to playing Liverpool, either at the LS or at Anfield. I know we don't really get the results at Anfield, very rare. I don't think we've won there since 2016. But when we do go up to Liverpool, sometimes we do put in some decent performances there, and hopefully we'll see how we get on tomorrow. But this is about you lads tonight. How serious is the Carabao Cup to Liverpool? I'll start off with you, Kev. How serious is it?
For me as a fan, I take every trophy serious. If we go out of it, I think we could have won that trophy. You know, that's another trophy that we could have won. So, you know, it's a major trophy. I don't care what anybody says about taking honours lightly or whatever. Any trophy that has extra time and penalties is a major honour. And anything else is just play around football, you know. So it's all minor, all these pre-season ones and all of that. They're not worth their grain of salt, but they're good for just, you know, building morale throughout the summer. This is a trophy. This is a trophy to your official statue. It goes on your champions wall. It goes on all of these places on like a charity shield. A charity shield is something to kick off a season for me, which is great. But a League Cup, an FA Cup, I don't care which one is considered higher or less, they're the same level of honour. And people don't seem to realise that. It's the same level of honour, still a major trophy. You know, I know everybody finds that at the end of the season, the FA Cup is prestigious. Both finals are played in the same stadium. Both finals come with the same honour. Just the trophies just look different. That's it. Yeah. So for me, it's I would always start the best 11 suitable possible for that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you know what it is? Like, I understand what people are saying about it, because obviously Liverpool are in major competition, especially the Premier League. Like, they're in the title race currently right now. What about you, Jack? How do you find it with Liverpool, especially in this competition?
Yeah, I've always wanted Liverpool to field a stronger team, mate. And I think obviously that quad chasing Liverpool side from a couple of seasons ago, we had the FA Cup and the League Cup to very much not only, but to very much celebrate. And we had hundreds of thousands of people in Liverpool as well. So for me, it's just one of them, mate. Similar with Kev, echo what he's just said then. I want to see Liverpool win even five-a-side tournaments or a trophy or whatnot. And probably similar with you Hammers, mate. Because obviously it's this modern day football snobbery of the modern, like, new age football fans. Oh, yeah, it's only that cup. It's hang on. Every single football club in England, as we know, is bred on winning trophies. And if you're not winning trophies, your football club's not really being successful. But we know not everyone's in a privileged position like Liverpool or City or higher up teams that have got the facilities. But certainly West Ham, over the last 5 years, are certainly going in the upward trajectory, really, in terms of competing for major trophies, getting the big one last year.
Yeah,
I know it wasn't the Champions League, but it's still a very much a big European trophy, similar to that of not many teams have won European trophies. So
I know.
We know that.
I know. Listen, before we sort of move on to the next sort of topic, I agree. Like, any trophy's a major honour for me. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Whether it's the Carabao Cup or the Conference League, for me, when I do look at West Ham and I do look at Liverpool, obviously Liverpool have won trophies and are aiming on a higher field. But where West Ham are currently right now, winning that Conference League, that's a springboard on for us to go on and try and win this competition if we can. Do you know what I mean? If we get past these on Wednesday night, then that is, it's open for us to attack this competition and say we can get to the final, if not win it. And I think even if we get to a final, it's a major honour for West Ham, because West Ham don't get to finals often. Do you know what I'm saying? So
it helps keep older players as well, mate. Obviously, if you got a new contract with Kudos or Paqueta in the next couple of seasons, whether they get their moves or don't, it solidifies their position. And I was speaking to Kev before today, and we were saying like it helps from a aspirational point of view in terms of next couple of seasons to come. That David Moyes, obviously, he's got money in the bank, whatever anyone thinks of David Moyes. He brought the European trophy to West Ham, and your lads, rightfully so, celebrated it on the streets of London. And that's what football's all about. And it's for potential new signings in the next year or two to see that you are a challenging team. You are a forward-thinking football club that has aspirations to win trophies, and you are going in the right direction, mate.
I agree, mate. I really, really do. Let's come to this. West Ham and David Moyes. Now, this is going to be interesting for me because I'm getting opposition sort of feedback on people from the outside looking in at West Ham. I'm going to start off with you, Kev, right? A lot of West Ham fans are very sort of split with Moyes. Some people look at him and think he's a hero for what he's done at West Ham over the last 4 years. Some people think he's reached his sort of marker and there's no more he can do as West Ham manager. From a sort of Liverpool fan's perspective, how do you see David Moyes?
I think he's one of the top managers in the league, to be honest with you. I think he's one of the guys that knows his stuff. The problem with David Moyes is people get fed up with him in the club that he's at. It happened to him a little bit at Everton. It happened to him a little bit before. And that's after. It's just because everything happened for a while where he tends to stay at a certain level. Yeah. And then go up. No, that's not saying that he can't drive a man forward. It's just the backing that they didn't have at the time. I think if David Moyes now had the backing that Everton have now, he would have done something completely different at Everton. I think Everton would have been up there challenging in the top 6 teams for me. And with the new stadium coming in, with the money backing that they had, without having to break any of these rules. But David Moyes is so, and even take it this way, even for West Ham, just getting back to the West Ham point of view, which you were just saying there, that trophy for a Conference League or the Conference Cup or whatever, I forget what it's bloody called, but it's a European trophy. It's still going to be classed as a major honour, right? But even in this way, you think of it, teams like West Ham and Aston Villa a couple of seasons ago, and your Wolves that were playing well a couple of seasons ago, Crystal Palace that were playing well for the last few seasons. These teams can play for one season, do really, really well, and get into Europa League spot, and then they're dead in the water. They could probably end up getting some of them anyway would get relegated the following couple of seasons because they wouldn't be able to financially keep it going. Whereas these kind of trophies allow you, when you get to this position, they nearly give you a freebie for the next year if you can win them, because it means you don't have to get to that you don't have to stress yourself out so much in the league to get to the to go either for the Europa League spots or the Champions League spots, while saving the money for at least a window, then going out and building gradually. It just allows you to get that window and then the money coming in from those tournaments, obviously. Plus, you got you're into that Europa League competition without having to stay in those positions after winning the trophy, and it's just a stepping stone of. It's allowing you to skip a step but save money at the same time. No, you sold Declan and Rice and you were able to spend that money straight away on Kudus and that, which means that you haven't really dipped into your own pocket yet, which means you've already saved money, which means there's money there available now for the next couple of windows to go and strengthen West Ham. And and we were talking to one of your buddies earlier, West Ham fans, and they were telling us about the extra thousands of seats coming into the stadium as well, being opened up like pretty soon and all of that. So there's a lot of these, things to look forward as a West Ham fan, for building your club to get it up into, because for me, I deem West Ham as one of the classic clubs. They're one of the old clubs for me, us, Everton, Arsenal, Aston Villa, West Ham, Manchester United, and I only see the new blood as, City and Chelsea and all of these kind of ones that have popped in out of nowhere really in recent seasons, as I count, because Chelsea weren't really ever up there, in my eyes. And for me, the build that West Ham could have them where Aston Villa is right now, in that comfortable, if everything goes right from, if you do well in Europe, I mean, at least even getting to a final would be great for you, let alone trying to win it, but it's still positive steps every single season, and you don't normally see that with teams that are kind of cascading a lot over seasons. They could end up in 7th one season, they could be 13th or 14th the next season, they could be 10th the next season, and that's just chop and change. There's not enough consistency there with some teams. So, and especially West Ham. So they should really be up there battling in the top 8 all the time. And then maybe moving up and being where Spurs are now, and that kind of way. And that's exactly where they should be aiming for. The same way that Aston Villa are trying to do it at the moment. Whether they'll do it next year, that's the difference with Aston Villa. They could do it this year. Next year, they might have dropped off a cliff. It needs to have that backbone behind it.
I agree with everything you just said there. The word that you said there that springs to mind is consistency.
Yeah.
One thing with West Ham, for me, is they've been consistent over the last few years. Now, people will look at the last season's 14th place finish, but they don't look at the trophy that we won for that sacrifice. Now, listen, I can sacrifice any position in the Premier League as long as we don't get relegated to win a trophy, because as what Jack said earlier on, you're in the game to win trophies and make memories. And listen, no one will remember that 14th place finish in 30 years' time. Do you know what I mean? But they will always remember the trophy. Do you know what I'm saying? What about you, Jack, in regards to West Ham and David Moyes?
It goes, I think, obviously, when you speak about David Moyes or modern day football managers, it's not everyone. If David Moyes had a sexy Spanish name or a sexy Argentinian name, I think he would have a bit more of and he looks a bit more better anyway than he does. But it's a results-based business, and I get where West Ham fans are frustrated, because we had Roy Hodgson for a short spell, but it's when, as the academy of West Ham, it's historic in English football. We know the players that have come through the conveyor belt as young players. So there's a type of brand that is associated as a football club. Even the prior managers knew about it, and that's where the difficulties did arrive, really. But I think from a football strategic point of view, it will come down, as it has done in the last 5 years, is the recruitment of not just West Ham, but Aston Villas, the Brentfords. Yeah. I think that's how Liverpool have bridged the gap, in all honesty, mate. I know, obviously, we've spent money, but if you compare it to the likes of what Chelsea have been spending and Manchester City, the recruitment process for every single team in the Premier League is extremely important. You look at Kudus, great. He's probably if he continues to develop, that's easy, a 60, 70 million pound player there. Paqueta got him at an absolute steal. I know it was a lot of money at the time, but highly regarded in Brazilian football, obviously playing for the national side at Lyon as well. So it's one of them that I think if West Ham can get 3 or 4 solid first team players, it will massively impact David Moyes' rationale thinking, really, from a tactical sense as well. It's so much easier. Like, we'll speak about Liverpool's midfield tonight. Me and Kev, every Liverpool fan was crying out for midfielders that could actually bloody run. But run with quality. Like, it's one thing getting Henderson, but you compare and contrast that with a player of the ilk of Dominic Szoboszlai. He's only been in the door a couple of months, but it opens up Liverpool's game twofold, really. Different dynamics, different tactics, different formations. If you ask David Moyes, if he said, he can play a 4-3-3 with a bit more of attacking flair, Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen through the middle, of course he'd love that. Every football manager wants to have an attacking sense in their game, play like Manchester City, play like the prime Barcelonas, but not everyone can play like that due to the financial underpinning of their resources, really. But it's play, and this is what we joke about United, me and Kev, before we come on here. Yes, he played negative, but football's a results-based business. I think every manager, especially Moyes, he plays very well. He manages very within himself to a certain extent. He'd like to go, and if he attacks us tomorrow, it might benefit you, it might not benefit you, but
I think
it's going to be difficult. So.
I think what it is, though, Jack, I think what it is with a lot of fans, and I've been sort of in the same camp with this. Sometimes I do look at Moyes and think, come on, Moyes, you've got to let the shackles off and go. Yeah, we've got to attack these teams. Like, I will use your game back in September when we played Hughes. It's 1-0 at half time. We come out second half and we're flat, and we just allow you just to do what you like. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, with Moyes, I respect him for what he's done. I really do. I think what he's done has been amazing at West Ham. It's like been beyond amazing. When you look at where he took over, what he's done, semi-final, final, and now we're doing all right in the league this year. He deserves credit, but I think some people look at the style of play and get the style of play and think West Ham could do a lot better stylistic-wise, rather than just sitting back and hoping to try and attack, like counter attack a team. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I don't know. Like, obviously with Moyes, I'm going to ask you this before we sort of move on. Where do you sort of see it with Moyes in both your ways in regards to West Ham? Do you look at him and think he could take West Ham further, or do you think he's at his level, really?
I think with West Ham at the minute, I think, as Kev alluded to, I said, speaking to Kev today, I think if Moyes was still at United and he got a lot more time given, the fact that he was handpicked by Sir Alex Ferguson, that says quite a lot. Yeah, it says quite a lot about his managerial style, really, and as Fergie doesn't just pick you on a whim, really. Yeah. He picks you by his understanding of game of football, really. But for me, I think he'll probably get West Ham to what, 5th or 6th. But let's not forget, Jay and Hammers, what, a couple of transfers away a couple of seasons ago, back-to-back seasons. He would have gotten the Champions League. It was just that 1 or 2 games. But obviously, the footballing landscape has quickly changed over a matter of 12 months. It's extremely difficult. But if there's a manager out there like an Unai Emery, there's not many managers of them, but if the manager did come available that was better and had a bigger portfolio of managing successful teams, then go for it. Have aspirations. Like with Jurgen Klopp and it was either Jurgen Klopp for me or Ancelotti at that time when we were looking for a manager, and I was not having anyone other than those 2 managers, because for Liverpool or West Ham, as a fan, you want to be seeing your team being not always winning. You'd like to win trophies, but being up there, really
competing.
Yeah.
I'm the same kind of as Jack when it comes to, well, especially I wanted Klopp all day long. The only reason that I loved Ancelotti and I loved what he does, but the only reason I didn't want Ancelotti is that Ancelotti doesn't stay anywhere for more than 2 years, and I didn't want to be a club. Yeah, he comes in and solidifies.
He's a proven winner, though. He wins league titles.
Yeah, he wins a couple. Yeah, he does. But the problem is he wins your league titles with teams that have money, and he's very, very similar to Pep, and he can do that. But I'm just like, how long did he last at Everton? When he knew that he wasn't going to get the same backing that he was anywhere else, he just he ran, like instantly ran, and that's the thing. This is where I see the difference between. Lad. Yeah, I know, but like, even at that, that's what I'm saying. So you get this. He was at AC Milan. They had money at the time. They were backed. You know, he went to all of these other clubs, money at the time, backed. Very similar to Pep in the way that he's managing. Now, I'm not saying that they're bad managers. I just said I'd probably respect them more than Klopp. And I even respected Klopp before he came to Liverpool. This is my point. Because of what he did at Mainz and what he did at Dortmund. No other managers have been able to take on these people and Pep and all of that and take on these guys and beat them at their own game without the money that's back that these lads have backings with. So that's why I still regard Klopp as the best manager of the world at the moment. Now, Pep is still there because he's won treble, he's done it, but he's been backed. I would like to see Pep take a team from...
Take Wrexham
even well, no, not even that. No manager. That'd be tough for any manager to do. My thing would be let Pep go and manage Aston Villa, and let's see him win a league with Aston Villa. Let's see him go with West Ham and win a league with West Ham. That's my point. You know, so I want to see him do that. I think that Klopp could go to West Ham or Aston Villa, or any of these teams, and at least fight for the league or at least get a league title. But I don't think the other lads could. That's my point. Without the back.
So the thing is, Kev, like when you look at Moyes, do you look at a manager that could potentially get us in the Champions League, or do you look at him and think that he's maybe just not there?
I think you're a striker and a left winger away from getting these positions. I think you're stuck that way. I think you've built up nicely elsewhere, and I think I think Paqueta helps out in front of your back line. I think Ward-Prowse is a great signing to bring in.
I love everybody.
Aguerd, yeah, very, very good. So, and Kudus is outstanding as well up front, but you've him and that. But I think Antonio is like a bogey player for us, but I don't, and maybe 1 or 2 other teams, but I don't see him in the long run as being the guy that's there.
He's a good option.
He's a good guy to come off the bench and help. I still think you need an outstanding left winger there to come in, and just to balance the ship, and maybe another backup number 6 in there just to allow these, like, so, as well as these guys are in there are good. Paqueta needs a bit of freedom on that side. Ward-Prowse needs a bit of flair to act. He doesn't have to be doing that job the whole time, backing in there and helping up. So I think there's a couple of choices that need to be made, and that's recruitment, as Jack said earlier. That's down to recruitment, and that's the one thing that I think that when you're saying that we've spent money recently, we bought Supposedly, we spent a bit of money on him. McAllister was a steal at 30 odd million. That's pennies in today's money. Mane was a steal at 30 odd million. Salah was a steal at 30 odd million. You know, I think Darwin Núñez is probably one of our biggest signings in the last few years, and we've only had to pay 60 odd million for him because we haven't won any trophies or anything like that with him since he came in. So that means we don't have to pay the full whack money, and if we don't do that over 2 years, we don't pay the money. So you've got all of this kind of coming. So they're the kind of big signings that we did, but we've always balanced them with somebody going out. So it just comes down to the right recruitment, I think, as well. And we're missing Michael Edwards since he left as well in Liverpool. You know, we're missing his nose in the transfer market for picking out gems, because you know we still did what we did with a broken Naby Keita, a broken Oxlade Chamberlain, Divock Origi, who only barely came off the bench, and a few kids on the bench. You know, at the time, and you know, and even before that, we still had sick notes in Daniel Sturridge, sick notes in Adam Lallana, sick notes. So it's easily done if it's just with the right recruitment. I think I never put it down to the money. You can spend as much money as you possibly want, but I never think. I think it's down to the right manager fitting the right system. And if it doesn't work out for West Ham over this season, and Moyes doesn't break into those European spots to get to the European final, then I think he'll be questioned. Because if the money is there for the backing and they want a fresh idea and a fresh outlook. Yeah. I think at the end of the season they'll look at him then, but I think it'll be silly to get rid of him before then.
The aspirations, sorry, AJ, quick one to round off on what we're saying there, is if West Ham's board had a backbone, like really, and wanted to make a statement, they would go out and get one of the hottest prospects in managerial football at this moment in time. You all know who I'm going to say, Xabi Alonso. It might be a risk, but that would be very much a signing for the rest of Europe and to the Premier League, really. Yeah. I know
that gets West Ham into Europe.
Yeah, that. Now that is, he's a manager there available. Do you try and get him before Real or a Liverpool?
I think that's where we fear, though. That's the one thing we're as a West Ham fan, I fear they won't do the right thing. I agree with you 100%. If you want to go and make a statement of intent, you're going to have to go up levels and go and buy someone out of their contract. I don't think you can go and get a manager like a Graham Potter or someone of that ilk right now, and he's going to take West Ham better than what Moyes has done. Like, I think you're going to have to go and pay for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Xabi Alonso has been mentioned quite a lot, like through the West Ham community, because obviously he's got connections to our sort of technical director. But I don't know. I think it's more on the ownership of the club at the minute for me. I said it on the opposition preview on Anfield Road, yeah. The problem I have is the board on this one, because the way the board have handled this situation isn't right, really. You shouldn't be letting the man run his contract down and hope he does something. Do you know what I mean? I think you either back him or you let him go last season and you don't get into this situation. Because if we don't get Europe this season and we end up getting knocked out of all competitions and we say we finish 10th, is a Xabi Alonso or someone of that caliber going to be the man to want to come to West Ham now? Do you get what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see.
I know Chat have mentioned, obviously, why would he leave the Bundesliga? But he'd leave the Bundesliga because it's the Premier League. Yeah, in all honesty, and he will test himself against the likes of Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Unai Emery. It's the creme de la creme of elite managers and elite players in European football, like it was in the prime Real Madrid, Barcelona years. If you are a manager and you want to test yourself and you back yourself, you'd very much, because there's not really it's either Bayern or Dortmund that Bayern win the league every year. So yeah, it's one of them. If he was a Bayern, then sound, but he's a Bayer Leverkusen, and they're doing extremely well, by the way. Big winner.
Go on, Kevin. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I think Xabi Alonso would be good. You see, that's the only way you could change Moyes before the end of the season. You couldn't change him for somebody, of a similar ilk and a lower ilk and then expect to do something with him by the end of the season. So I'm thinking that Moyes is still your best bet, unless you go and get a Xabi Alonso, or there's talks about Potter waiting for the United job if Ten Hag gets done and all this kind of stuff. So there's no point, because he's waiting for the big bucks there. So his mindset is already, I'm in Chelsea, I went to Chelsea, I don't care if I fail there, my money level is here. I don't need the West Ham board will go to that money level. For a manager, they'll do it maybe for a player, but they won't do it for a manager. So I think Xabi Alonso can come in at the low end of the thing and say, as I build a team, my money goes up with it. And I think he's that honest as a manager. So same with Leverkusen there. He's probably doing a similar at Leverkusen at the moment. So
You've got the Girona manager as well, and you've got the Nice manager. Two very. If you haven't checked them out, go and check them out.
That the Walker guy, is it, or is that Lens?
Yeah,
the English guy, is it?
Nice. You're thinking the ginger lad from Reims.
That's sorry.
But Nice and Girona have been playing alongside Leverkusen and been playing some of the best attacking football in Europe this season. So managers are out there, but it's just as we said.
I don't think Alonso will want to go straight to Real Madrid or Liverpool. I think he'll want to work on somewhere else, especially in the Premier League. If he tries that, he could go there. He could probably be a Porto manager, a Benfica manager. He could probably be these kind of managers before he goes to these bigger jobs, because Leverkusen he's proved himself very similar to what Klopp has done as well. He's brought Mainz up from the lower division up, kept them up there, then went to Dortmund, brought them from 17th in the Bundesliga up to win the league in the same season, and then the next season win it again. So they've got the nous about them to recruit well and build well. It's just that they need the backing by the board, and if you're worried about your board, that's your biggest problem there. If they're not going to back the manager and what he needs, if he comes in, he says, I need a left wing, I need a second striker, I need another midfielder, and at least a right or left back. Are they going to turn around and buy it all in one window, or are they going to tell him, we might have to wait? No, with this, we can probably get this guy in this window and these two guys in that window without selling. And really, they should be borrowing. They have 3 years to borrow against their own money. It's a risk for Europe.
What you've said there is spot on, absolutely spot on. I think that is the fear with our sort of board, because I know people say about the money that we've spent at West Ham, and we have spent quite a bit of money. Don't get me wrong, but we're also we're not stupid that a manager, if he comes in like a high-end manager, he's going to want that money on a regular basis. He ain't going to want like peanuts at the start and then build up to a sort of big bucks. Do you know what I'm saying? But listen, 100%, mate, 100%. Let's come to starting lineup. Jack, what's your starting lineup for tomorrow night?
As Kev will probably allude to, a very similar lineup. I anticipate Liverpool to go strong. I hope we do go strong, mate. Obviously, as we'll speak about tonight, as we already have, they want to see a response in terms of a goal scoring. I want to see goals, really. So all this foreplay up front, but not finishing it off, really. Just not getting the ball in the back of the net. That's the most important thing, the lack of clinical nature. So I'll go with Ali in goal. I'll go with Trent. And then I go with Canate, Van Dijk, Gomez. Obviously, Trent going into that inverted role. So Buzlai, I'd anticipate Gravenberch. I know he was an injured out coming into this game, but off the back of today's presser, looks like he'll be fine. So him to go straight in there. Endo in that DM spot, maybe, but I'd like to see Curtis Jones. So go with those three in midfield, and then obviously the forward three. At this moment in time, not all of them are in form. So I'd like to see Gakpo. I'd like to see Nunez, because surely he can't keep on missing chances. And Salah up front, mate.
Yeah. Every time Darwin, as I said to you on the opposition preview on Anfield Road, every time Darwin Nunes plays West Ham, he always turns into like Haaland against us. He just seems to turn it on. What about you, Kev? What are you saying?
Yeah, that's probably the mindset that Top would go with for a starting 11. If I did like my own fantasy starting 11, I'd probably throw Gomez right back. And I would go with a back three and change it up for a small, but Liverpool don't tend to play. They end up playing like that in a 3-box-3. But, I would start with the 3-box-3, and I would have Gomez, Kanate and Van Dijk along there, and then have the lads Endo and Trent to drop back and cover the two lads on the wings if we need, because Endo can play a left back as well. If many people don't know, he's a left back also. But it's not going to happen. So and obviously you'd have your Szoboszlai, your Gakpo or Gravenberch on that left hand side, Salah and Nunez. But I think I'd actually agree with Jack this time. As much as Gakpo annoyed me in the United game, how selfish he was the other day, at least he was positive when he came on. I've had to think about it as well. So at least he was a bit more positive. I think Diaz has been caught too much on his right hand side recently, that he hasn't gone up enough to the byline and turning left, whereas Gakpo is more natural to go that way, even though he's still a right-footed player. I would play him there. I would even test Harvey Elliott on that left-hand side with a left foot that can cross the ball. So, I would similar in the back line to Jack if I'm going to be on the money what I think it's going to be. And
so we
we could. But I'd still put Gomez right back and throw Trent in midfield. I'd love to see that, to be honest with you. But that mightn't happen. Szoboszlai maybe on the left. If I had my thing all day, I would change it to 4-2-3-1 staggered. so that we'd have triangle passing going on, and lads can drop back in the wings, but that's not going to happen. And Gakpo, Nunez, and Salah up front. Gravenberch probably Savasli behind them.
Question for you. How long was Robinson out for?
Robertson, he's
another 4 or 5 weeks. Obviously,
a few weeks. Yeah, he's back running though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's out running.
He's back running. Yeah,
probably just in a sling at the minute. But he's Scottish and he's made a different stuff up there. Anyway, so.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. It's a shame that he ain't playing because he's always good on the old fantasy football. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Right, predictions time, gentlemen. What are you saying? I'll start off with Kev. I'll leave Jack till last. What are you saying, Kev, for tomorrow?
Depends on what team we start. If we go strong, I think it'll be the same result that we've seen up. I was at the game a couple of months ago in Anfield, and even Curtis Jones had a fantastic game that day. Nunez had a great game. Salah had a good game that day. Verge was immense. So I would say 3-1 if we go strong. Only mainly because you don't have an out-and-out striker. If Kudus but Bowen is out as well, is he a doubt or is it? No, Antonio's a doubt, isn't he? He's gone.
Yeah.
And Antonio's a bogey guy for us. So even Bowen, you could always count on Bowen to maybe get a goal, or Kudus. Maybe you don't see the two of them scoring together, and especially away from home at Anfield under the night lights, it's kind of hard.
Already at Anfield.
I know, but they don't tend to score too often. But too often together. They're not. Well, I still think they're weak on that left hand side, and I think Antonio is always a nightmare for us. And I think that you have more of a chance when he's on the pitch, because he just causes our defense a nightmare when he's playing. Bowen can still score, but I think we need to kick up the arse, as they say, from the other day after United. I think we need to go strong. We need to play ourselves into form for Arsenal on Saturday. So I think we go strong. If he does a weak team, probably 1-1, 2-2 goal penalties, and then see where it goes from there. But at the moment, I think that we need to really drive on hard and fast, and get back into form. And I saw our friend Sally Hammers out there. Sorry, we have to get back to the game. Sorry.
What about you, Jack?
I'm gonna go goals galore in this one, mate. I think West Ham will play in the front row, Bowen through the middle. I think you always go back to that Manchester City game that Bowen played through the middle last year, and absolutely set it as he can set it as any team, and certainly Liverpool, with our gaps that we do leave in our defence, as we did against United. Lucky enough, they're dross up front. I go 2-2, mate. I go 2-2. I anticipate Liverpool hopefully to win on penalties, but I think both sides, as we've already seen this season, are a bit leaky at the back, but I don't think
it's a cup game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
anything can happen.
Yeah, so
anything.
Yeah, looking forward to it, mate. Should be a good one.
Here's a question for you before I come to my sort of prediction. Are Liverpool always expecting us to low block tomorrow?
Is Avram Grant manager again, is he?
Oh mate, I see him on some show the other day, mate. I still have nightmares about Avram Grant to this day. Doesn't he? 100%.
No,
I'll be shocked if we do go low block against us. I'm going to be honest.
I just, as we've mentioned with the attack and flair that you have, Jay and Hammers, like it's such a breath of fresh air, really, because I'm hoping when you do play the big boys this season, if Liverpool
straight after us,
if you do help us out like you have in the past. But Liverpool haven't capitalised on it in the league when you beat City and all that, and you do the job for us. But yeah, it's just going to be one of them, mate. It's great to see attack and flair, and as we said before, as Kev alluded to, if you get in January or the next 12 months a proper striker or two strikers, obviously Danny Ings isn't really up to the necessarily quality of a Premier League forward. Skamaka, obviously Haller come in, didn't really quite work, but I think I know it's difficult to find a 15-20 goal striker, but when you find them, you've got to pay them well and you've got to provide them service. And if you do, I think that would be a case of you getting into Europe. What position that would be? It's just, I think you'd have to.
It's risk for West Ham. I've been saying it for about 2 or 3 seasons about West Ham. I like West Ham over the London teams, out of all the London teams, to be honest with you. And I think it's West Ham need to take more risks to get to go where they're going, and less. And I think the biggest risk that they need to do is with the manager and with getting in a couple of high profile players to back what's there, and it'll just bring up the game of the whole players around them.
Yeah.
And then you see the dead weight drop off. It's exactly, when Klopp came into Liverpool, we had your Adam Lallanas, they were great at Southampton, but they were always injury prone. We had your Daniel Sturgis, who was a bit of a sick note. We had Mohamedou Sakho, we had Nathaniel Klein, we had all of these guys in there. And all of a sudden Klopp brought in these guys, and then they became world superstars under him, and worldies. And I think you need that kind of manager to create world beaters rather than.
And what it is you sort of get players who come in and make other players better.
Like,
and players that you wouldn't even
100%.
think of. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Like Curtis Jones is a player that one of the lads on his channel mentions quite a lot. He looks at him and thinks he's a decent little player. And there's a few others at Liverpool, and I agree with what you just said there. I really do. I think if we can get in 3 other players with the 3 lads that we've got, like the star boys at the club right now, I think we'd be all right. I think we'd be going up rather than down.
I think West Ham's goals should be going for players because Liverpool are.
Kenzo Prowse, one of the best deliveries in the league, and
West like City and Liverpool won't go for him at Toma because he doesn't suit their style of play, but he would suit West Ham coming in there under a manager would work. You have another guy. Like what's his name, Neto from Wolves. These kind of players that can come in and do the job at West Ham, which I think is a step up from Wolves, to be honest with you, regardless of where they've been yo-yo in the last few seasons. I think these kind of guys could come in and actually do a job at West Ham under the right tutelage and manage. David Moyes, unless he does something fantastic for the rest of the season, you could say there's no stepping stone up there. I like him as a manager. I think he'd do well if he had money behind him. I just think he can just survive with a team that's anywhere from 5th to 15th. He'll just survive. And anywhere outside of that, he's probably going down. Like if he survived with Everton because it was Everton, but you put him in Southampton and they're not surviving. You put him in Luton, they're not surviving. It's the same. Sean Dyche is a good manager as well. Then he's there when he can be. You put, he's doing well now. Okay, and the football is a bit better with Everton. But he couldn't even survive with Burnley, and he had that place sewn up for years. So the manager has to be right, and I think he needs a bit of flair. And I think they need, I think West Ham need another Postecoglou or somebody like that to come in and step up the game, step up the attacking game a small bit more, but allowing them to drop back into a lower block formation if they have to. Just the mindset it's all about running. You need midfielders who can run. If you don't have midfielders who can run, you're never going to win you're never going to get anywhere in the Premier League. Midfielders have to be able to run and track back. That's it. The rest of them just need cover. Every defender in the Premier League is at a top quality level. The problem is they don't have the boys in front of them that are willing to track back and protect them. And that's where most teams fail.
And that's the thing, when we had Declan Rice last year, that was a player that sort of done the job and helped us out massively. My prediction for tomorrow night is I think we're going to draw. I think it's going to go to pens, and I think it's a toss of a coin. I don't know why. I've got a feeling we ain't going to get hammered in this one. I think West Ham are looking a bit different over the last few games. I think the 5-0 hammering against Fulham has sort of woke West Ham up a little bit to a point. Also, there was other circumstances that some of the players were ill and there was a sickness bug going around. But I don't know, the last 2 games I've seen a different West Ham for me. A little spark has just appeared, and especially against Wolves the other day, if we can get Kudus, Bowen and Quetta on that par level against Liverpool on Wednesday night, we're going to give you a good game. So I'm going to go for a draw. We just don't beat Liverpool at Anfield. It just doesn't happen. So the next best thing is a draw. And
just remember how good you started off at the start of the season as well. Before you came to Liverpool and it was the 3-1, you were actually up there at the top of the league, doing well for those first 5 or 6, 7 games or whatever it was. And I was like, oh geez, West Ham look good this season, and they looked like they're going to do something. And then obviously, little drop offs, little injuries here. I think Bowen picked up an injury for a couple of weeks, and did he? Yeah, and if I remember rightly, and there was a bit of a drop off, but like I always knew that you yo-yo back up, as long as you can stay that way for the second half of the season and keep at least consistent wins to draws and less losses. I think you'd be grand. I think you'd be fighting for the European spots by the end of the season. But it all comes down to what you can do in January as well to back up that squad, because I think losing Rice is a big thing. Even though Paqueta is good, Kudus is good, I think you need just a little bit more strength in midfield in that left wing position. And I think if you get somebody in to cover those spots, I think you're good to go. And we'll be just saying, nice one, West Ham, take out the rest of the boys for us, will you? If you don't mind. So yeah,
100%. That's what we're going to try and do on the 28th against Arsenal. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Go over and check out Anfield Road TV. That is Jack's channel. Kev's on there also. He jumps on there from time to time. Special like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV and Anfield Road TV. That's been Jack. That's been Kev. I'll be back tomorrow night after full player rating. It's going to be a good game tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to this one. I really am. Like after the 2 wins West Ham have had, we're coming into a bit of confidence, and we're going to Liverpool where we just don't ever win. So we're going to see what happens. But from me to you, take care of yourselves out there. Absolute superb show tonight, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.